I'm not sure how I'm even going to title this video yet, so just as a placeholder, we're going to call it Paralysis 2 Demonic Boogaloo. So, in the famous words of Doc Creepin', time to sit back and relax with your favorite drink. And listen. Okay, so let's recap. 16-year-old me woke up in the middle of the night, ran really fast, floated up in the air, also saw a thick ghost. Now that we're all caught up, let's continue. So, after that night, I had a lot of questions. I didn't really know who to talk to, and the first person I could think of at the time was my youth pastor. Unfortunately, it wasn't much help, because just like any other Christian, when you have questions, they tend to dance around the question or not really give you a straight answer, which is one of the core reasons I left Christianity in the first place. So, I went to my old buddy, we'll call him Calvin. So, of course, Calvin explained to me that what I had experienced was indeed sleep paralysis. Even told me a couple of his own personal stories that he's experienced with. He also told me about astral projection. And so, I didn't know what astral projection was either. And so, I did a little research. I like to learn things. I looked up a bunch of articles and watched a ton of videos about sleep paralysis and other people's stories online. And then I also, at the same time, was looking into astral projection and getting information from that and hearing other people's stories about astral projection and so forth.
Oh, but Savage, why are you talking about astral projection? I thought this was a story about sleep paralysis.
It's important to the story, so just shut the fuck up and listen, hypothetical person. Fast forward to my senior year of high school. I moved out of my mother's house and moved in with my other mom's house. Now, to be perfectly clear, I do not have two moms, alright? This woman simply just took care of me like I was one of her own. She was very good to me. Anyway, so I moved in with her and I stayed in her oldest son's room, who was off at college at the time. Now her oldest son, we'll call him Neo. He had this really cool loft bed that I've always wanted. It's one of those beds that, are elevated off the ground and you can keep a desk under the bed. Like one of those. So I would say that this bed came, let's say 6 feet off the ground. Now, I had forgotten all about the whole sleep paralysis thing. Hadn't thought about it for, a couple of years, I would say. But think about when you experience something once, you don't ever forget that feeling again. So, fast forward a couple months after I move in, and I just wake up. My eyes open, and I can't move. I know this feeling, this very familiar feeling, where there's somebody in the room, but this time I'm actually paralyzed. I really can't move this time. I didn't get out of bed and run to check in on anybody. And I'm laying on my back. I'm looking up at the ceiling. I have no idea what's going on, but I genuinely cannot move and I don't know why. So my eyes just start darting around the room, looking for anything. And then I spot it in the corner of the bedroom. So, in the corner of the bedroom, middle of the night, there is this huge black mass. It had really no, like, descriptive features or anything like that. It was just a black mass standing in the corner, just stalking me. Just, I didn't see any facial features or eyes, but I could feel it watching me. Like, I'm looking at it, it's looking at me, it's just standing there. That happened, a few nights. Not consecutively, but it would happen frequently. Maybe once a week or, once every few days. Having my understanding of sleep paralysis this time, I don't panic. It's scary as hell, but I just, I lie there and I pretty much wait for it to be over. Giggity. Now, either that would happen or that feeling, that electrical surge feeling would happen when I was sleeping. That feeling but it was different this time. That same feeling, but this time it feels like something's trying to get in. Like something's trying to possess me. And sometimes it would only last maybe a minute. Maybe shorter than that. But the whole time, since I stayed there, the entire time I just told myself, it's just sleep paralysis, it's not real, it's all in your head. Try to relax and wait for it to be over. I moved out of that place maybe a month or two after I graduated. Went to go stay with one of my best friends at the time. And that's when that was my time there, was when I was convinced that this might be more than sleep paralysis. This might be something actually supernatural. Taking a sip break. Oh yeah. So, how do I don't even know how to begin to tell you. Okay, let's start it like this. When I moved into my buddy's place, he had a 1-bedroom. So I slept on a futon in the living room. Fucking egregious, I know, but, I was fresh out of high school, didn't have shit. And plus, I'm a pretty simple guy, don't need a whole lot to be happy. I had also gotten a girlfriend at the time, and she would come over and spend the night pretty much almost every night, sometimes for multiple days. And at the time, everything was going smoothly until that one night when I got my visit from good old buddy sleep paralysis demon. Or so I thought. I was sleeping on my stomach. I'm a stomach sleeper for the most part. And that feeling came back. That feeling where it feels like something is trying to possess me, like something is trying to get in, that electrical surge feeling in my head. But it was a little bit more intense this time. I was genuinely afraid this night. Because unlike any other nights, there was a presence there. A presence that I did not recognize. But I'm sleeping, I'm laying down on this futon, and I could feel someone standing over me. Now, the neighborhood I was in, it was not a good neighborhood. Not gonna lie, it wasn't a good neighborhood. So, I didn't know what to expect. I couldn't see what was standing above me. But I felt that presence. And it wanted to do harm. I could feel that it wanted to do harm. But at the same time, I'm thinking, if someone broke into this apartment, I ain't no bitch, you know? But, I was a bitch that night. Rightfully so. I didn't even look to see if there was actually someone there. But I needed some comfort. My girlfriend was sleeping, laying there right next to me. I, just wanted some comfort, just some cuddles, you know? I shook her a little bit. Like, hey. And I come to discover she was not sleeping. She was awake. And the next words that came out of her mouth still terrify me. She says, I don't want to agitate it. Ladies and gentlemen, whatever this was not a sleep paralysis demon. Whatever this was, she was experiencing it too. And yet that presence felt so familiar that I was so sure it was sleep paralysis until, no shit, I can move, I'm not paralyzed. I didn't know what to do. I instinctively grabbed my phone because if there's someone actually in the room with me, then they're probably, I don't know. I pull out my phone and I go to call my buddy who is in his bedroom. And when I pull out my phone and scroll to his phone number, I could feel whatever was there kneel down and look over my shoulder to see who I was calling. I could feel this presence get closer to me. I'm dead ass, like ready to shit myself. So my buddy picks up the phone. He's like, what's up? And I'm like, trying to whisper. I'm on the phone like, dude, there's someone else in the living room. Help me. He comes out. I'm thinking, yeah, we're about to jump this motherfucker. We're about to jump this entity. He comes out, turns on the light. There's nothing there. And the presence that was there is now gone. He gets on my shit. I'm like, sorry, bro. My bad. But me and my girl, we know what we experienced. And we really couldn't go back to sleep after that. Honestly. Now, typically I would probably turn on the TV after that. Just to clear my head. But we just sat there in silence. Didn't know what to do. And then she says, it's still here. It's standing right in there next to the TV in that spot. And I'm confused now because I don't feel that presence anymore. And yet she's telling me that whatever was there is still there. As much as I wanted to be skeptical, I simply couldn't. I refused to be skeptical in that moment. And I don't think anybody in that position would be skeptical if someone said, hey, it's still here. Maybe a month after that incident happened, we were in my buddy's room hanging out, and we were about to leave. We're all about to leave, and right before we all left out that room, my girlfriend says, it's back. She pointed to the wall that was like next to the closet in my buddy's room. She points and says, it's in that spot right there. And I say, you know what, just leave the room. Let's just go. I stay behind because I ain't no bitch. And I really cared about her. So I stay behind, and I looked in that direction, and I said, leave her alone. And I walked out. Because I figured, whatever this thing is, I'd rather it be me. And just me. After my buddy's lease was up at that apartment, I moved back into my other mom's house. Back into that same room with the loft bed. Speaking of which, that loft bed, remember how I said it comes like 6 feet off the ground? Well, that black mass in the corner was way taller than 6 feet. Sure, it was in the corner in a distance, but its head almost touched the ceiling. When I moved back into that place, nothing happened for a while. Until something did happen again. And this time, things got a bit more intense. That black mass in the corner had a form now. I could make out a head and shoulders and arms. And it would still stay in that corner and watch. And I'd be lying on my back, unable to move, unable to speak. And then one night, it got up close and personal. One night, it happened, and I didn't even open my eyes this time. I was just like, okay, more sleep paralysis. Can't move. And I just laid there with my eyes closed. Up until I felt that presence once again. And I opened my eyes, and my heart almost jumps out of my throat. Because it is now at the bed, looking dead at me, face to face, and it's transparent, but I can make out details this time. I can't see any facial features, but I can tell that I am making eye contact with whatever this is. It didn't say anything, it didn't do anything, it just stood there and stared me down. For as long as I was paralyzed, I was having a staring contest with my sleep paralysis demon. And it's funny, actually. If you guys could see what I saw that night, well, my sleep paralysis demon might seem very familiar to you. One night, I just decided, maybe it's the room. I didn't want to sleep in that room anymore. And, everyone else in the house, sometimes they'd sleep downstairs in the living room on the couch, or it was weird. So I figure I'd sleep in little brother's room. We'll call him little brother. Sleep on their bunk bed. I'm so confused at this point, because at one point I'm thinking it's a demon, then just sleep paralysis, then back to a demon again, then back to sleep paralysis. This night was a little weird. It was a little weird. And also kind of funny. So when I slept in that other room, it happened again. This time I was sleeping on my side. I tried sleeping in different positions because apparently sleep paralysis happens often when you're sleeping on your back. I was sleeping on my side, and yet it still happened. And first it starts out with that feeling, that electrical surge through my body, going up to my head. I can barely open my eyes this time. But I was able to open them enough to be able to see. It was standing in the corner, blocking the door. And shit you not, it was using unrelenting force on me. All my Skyrim players, yeah, that Thus Roda, I am getting like this wave of energy, like being shouted at me. It's quiet. It's not like making like any noise. It's just like I can. If you played Skyrim, you know Thus Roda, you know Unrelenting Force. That's what I was experiencing, and it was just hitting me wave after wave after wave, and I could feel myself like being thrown back by this, but unable to move. And I could feel like it felt like my teeth were falling out of my mouth. And I couldn't scream. It was over pretty quick after that. It wasn't the scariest experience that I've had, but definitely the most painful one that I've experienced. After maybe, I don't know, 6 months, I moved out, got my own apartment. And when I moved into that apartment, I thought it's going to be different. It's going to be new, fresh start. But nothing really changes, except maybe my attitude towards it all. But this is running a little long, so I think I'll tell you that story next time. But if you like this one, make sure to leave a like, comment, share it with your friends. And if you're new here, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And until next time, I'll be seeing you. Alright, going to bed.